Lily Ashcroft vanished on a cold December night in 2002, but nearly 2 decades later, a Reddit user named disappearance2020 uncovered a forgotten photo that would unravel a chilling secret and expose a killer hiding in plain sight. In the winter of 2002, the quiet town of Ashford, Oregon, was shaken by the sudden disappearance of 24-year-old Lily Ashcroft. She was known for her warm personality, a quiet smile, and her routine life. Lily worked part-time at a local bookstore and spent most of her evenings reading or catching up with her best friend, Hannah. On December 18th, Lily left her apartment around 8:30 p.m. She had messaged Hannah that she was going to the convenience store 2 blocks away to grab snacks. That was the last anyone ever heard from her. When Lily didn't return home, her roommate assumed she'd gone to Hannah's place, but by the next morning, it was clear something was wrong. Her phone went straight to voicemail, and she never showed up for work. Police launched an investigation immediately. Her car was still parked in front of her building, unlocked, with the keys on the passenger seat. Nothing inside the apartment was out of place. There were no signs of a struggle, no evidence of forced entry, and no useful security camera footage. Her wallet was found at home, and her bank account had not been touched. Witnesses couldn't recall seeing her that night, and there were no credible sightings in the days that followed. Flyers went up across Oregon, and news outlets picked up the story. Volunteers helped search nearby woods and abandoned structures, but every effort ended in frustration. As weeks turned into months, hope began to fade. Lily's family, especially her mother, kept pushing for answers. Her face became one of the many on missing persons billboards, her case one of hundreds with no clear path forward. Investigators pursued every lead from suspicious neighbors to potential online interactions, but nothing held up. As the years went by, newer cases replaced hers, and Lily's name was quietly moved to the cold case file. The town moved on, but those close to Lily never stopped wondering what happened. There was no closure, no goodbye, only silence. The mystery remained untouched, frozen in time. Like the winter night she vanished. What no one expected was that almost 2 decades later, strangers on the internet would reignite the search and uncover a truth darker than anyone imagined. 18 years later, in 2020, the case of Lily Ashcroft resurfaced in the most unexpected way. On a quiet evening, a user by the name of youthirchivist2020 made a cryptic post on the popular subreddit r or Unresolved Mysteries. The post included a single disturbing image, a low-quality, grainy photograph of a young woman who appeared to be restrained to a wooden chair in what looked like a dim, cluttered room. Her face was bruised, her expression terrified. The photo, according to the poster, was found on an old USB flash drive bought at a garage sale in a remote Idaho town. Initially, users debated whether the photo was real or staged. Some dismissed it as a hoax, a leftover from an abandoned art project or horror short, but others saw something hauntingly familiar about the woman's eyes and posture. One user pointed out a small, crescent-shaped birthmark on the left side of her neck, exactly like the one Lily Ashcroft was described to have in her original missing persons flyer. That tiny detail was enough to shift the conversation. Someone else dug up an archived local newspaper that included a photo of Lily from 2001, wearing a handmade bracelet with blue and white beads. The bracelet, shockingly, matched the one seen faintly around the wrist of the woman in the image. The thread quickly gained traction. Reddit's amateur sleuths began to investigate every pixel, analyzing the objects in the room, the lighting, even the grain pattern of the wooden wall behind her. A calendar was partially visible on the back wall, with a logo that one user traced to a motel chain that operated in Utah and Idaho during the early 2000s before going out of business. The Reddit community swarmed to connect every clue, treating it like a collective puzzle. A few skeptics remained, questioning whether the photo really depicted Lily, but most agreed that the similarities were too strong to ignore. Theories began to swirl. Was this photo taken before she died? Had she been held captive? Why had the image surfaced now, after nearly 2 decades? The mystery deepened as more users joined the conversation, determined to uncover the truth. What started as a simple image on a forgotten flash drive had reignited a case long thought impossible to solve. And this time, the internet refused to let it go cold again. As the Reddit thread gained momentum, users around the world began digging deeper into every detail of the mysterious photo. With nothing more than pixels and instinct, a swarm of amateur detectives began analyzing the background. The wooden paneling on the wall was the first major breakthrough. A user who specialized in vintage home design recognized the pattern, as a particular style of prefabricated paneling used in manufactured homes produced between 1999 and 2002. This small discovery narrowed the potential locations where the photo could have been taken. Another user, a self-proclaimed expert in antique lighting, pointed out the type of ceiling fixture barely visible in the corner of the image. It was common in mobile homes in the western United States during the early 2000s. Then came an even more startling find. A Redditor zoomed in on the torn corner of a calendar hanging behind the woman in the photo. After enhancing and matching the blurry logo, they traced it to a long-defunct motel chain called Desert Rose Inns. These motels had only operated in parts of Utah, Idaho, and Nevada from the late 1990s to 2003. One former employee, also a Reddit user, mentioned that Desert Rose Inns distributed branded calendars with their room keys during holiday promotions, including one released in December 2001, the same model seen in the background. This clue sent the subreddit into a frenzy. As speculation turned into coordinated research, someone stumbled across an old post from a county estate auction listing from 2011. It referenced a property once owned by a man named Eugene Wallace. The location? A small town near Moab, Utah. Eugene had passed away in 2009, and his belongings had been sold off, including electronics. Another user managed to find a connection between the flash drive and the auction through old receipts and serial numbers from items listed online. The flash drive had likely been in Eugene Wallace's possession. Further digging uncovered a disturbing detail. Eugene had once been arrested for unlawful surveillance and harassment in 2001, but the charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. Theories took shape. Could Eugene Wallace have been involved in Lily's disappearance? The pieces began aligning in a chilling way. The photo, the motel calendar, the location, the pattern of wallpaper, none of it seemed like coincidence anymore. The more Reddit users uncovered, the more it looked like this wasn't just a clue, it was the key. With momentum growing, a small group of Reddit users from Utah decided to visit the location linked to Eugene Wallace. Using the coordinates found in public property records, they located a rundown mobile home on the outskirts of Moab. Hidden behind overgrown trees and brush, the house appeared abandoned for years. Windows were shattered, the door partially caved in, and the roof was sagging under years of decay. Despite the haunting appearance, what they found inside would soon confirm their worst suspicions. The interior was mostly empty, but remnants of the past remained: broken furniture, faded newspapers, and a thin layer of dust covering everything. But in the back room, the wallpaper matched exactly what was seen in the photo of the restrained woman. Further exploration led one user to notice a suspicious panel under the floor in what appeared to be the former bedroom. Beneath it was a small, makeshift storage space. Inside, they discovered a sealed plastic box containing dozens of old Polaroids, several VHS tapes, and a handful of personal items, including a bracelet identical to the one Lily Ashcroft was last seen wearing. A driver's license with Lily's name and photograph was also among the items. The Redditors immediately contacted local authorities, who took over the investigation within hours. Crime scene analysts and forensic teams were dispatched to the site. As authorities sifted through the evidence, one of the tapes revealed something even more disturbing. It showed Eugene Wallace speaking directly into the camera, rambling about keeping someone hidden, about finding peace through control. Though the footage was disjointed and erratic, it became clear that he had been documenting some kind of twisted captivity. He mentioned a name once, Lily. He never confessed to killing her outright, but in one part of the tape, he spoke about a failed escape attempt and how he had to make it stop. Those words sent chills through everyone who watched it. Outside the mobile home, cadaver dogs were brought in. Behind the structure, near a line of trees, the dogs signaled strongly. After hours of digging, investigators uncovered human remains buried in a shallow grave. Dental records and a DNA match confirmed it was Lily Ashcroft. Nearby, another skeleton was found, yet to be identified. The evidence was overwhelming. What began as a mysterious photo online had led to the discovery of a long-lost woman and the horrifying truth of her final days. The cold case was no longer a mystery, it had become a grim reality. The news of Lily Ashcroft's discovery made national headlines within days. Local law enforcement held a press conference, crediting the online community, particularly the Reddit users of our unresolved mysteries, for their role in breaking open a case that had been cold for nearly 2 decades. The story struck a nerve with the public. People were stunned that an internet forum, powered only by curiosity and persistence, had accomplished what professionals had been unable to do for years. The idea that anonymous users could help solve a crime that once seemed unsolvable turned into a symbol of digital age justice. Lily's family, long haunted by silence, was finally given answers. Though the pain of her loss remained, they were grateful to have closure and finally lay her to rest. A memorial service was held in Ashford, Oregon, where hundreds gathered to honor her memory. Many who had never known her showed up, touched by the way strangers had come together to seek truth for someone they'd never met. The moment was bittersweet, full of both sorrow and gratitude. Authorities reopened old files connected to Eugene Wallace. With 2 sets of remains found, investigators suspected he may have been involved in other disappearances. Several cold cases from Utah and Idaho were re-examined for possible links. The second body recovered at the site was later identified as a young woman from Nevada who had vanished in 2001, previously believed to have run away. Her family, too, was contacted, bringing another chapter of pain to an end. The Reddit community became a hub of activity, with users sharing stories, updates, and newfound hope that other cases could be solved the same way. It inspired a wave of digital investigations and even led to law enforcement forming dedicated online liaison teams to monitor crowdsourced leads. Lily's case became a reference point, a blueprint for how the internet could be used for more than entertainment or news, but to bring justice. The story of Lily Ashcroft, once buried by time, now lived on as a powerful example of determination. What started as a forgotten photo on an old flash drive became the beginning of the end for a dark mystery. It proved that no case is ever truly impossible to solve, not when people are willing to look deeper, ask questions, and refuse to give up.